Nice. What's right there? Yeah. About walking her dog one evening at dusk. I thought, wow, that looks like a it's like a house or something like that. As we got closer, it was a bear. We dropped the leash. I ran home. I went through the front door. And she says, "What's the matter?" I said, "There." She says, "Where's Harley?" It's good. That was the meeting. I said, "He has 4 legs. I only have 2. He should run twice as fast as me." Next thing you know, Karen's scratching on the door. It's very good. It's a nice town. It really is. You know, it's a lot of nice parts too, but it's not any place. I no, I have no complaints other than it's inline. Yeah, I'm, you know, until I came here, like here,
Yeah, one of these is looking to move for somebody in Florida.
How big of a house does she want?
Well, she really wants a sister. Yeah, she's really part of that.
Well, we just happen to have that, and it's just Lynn and I. She wants to sell it to her daughter's having a baby. She wants to buy a place in Colorado. I'll be here. I'm here over there, and so I mean, we'll have a place in Colorado.
More alone. I think they want to try to sell their place in Massachusetts.
Just have a copy of
And it's getting your plot.
I'll keep you informed of it.
You don't have a lot of money. That's not lovely.
Of course.
Somebody's going to make the presentation.
One of them can't afford to buy one of them.
Oh, I know. That's what it is. Yeah, I came here. Not so. Oh my God, there you go. I came and heard there's nobody with me or one. Enjoy it. Up to 49.99. We'll bring you back the pen. No. Don't worry. Seriously, we still have fun. No, I think we're all on.
Looks like your pictures in there.
Yeah. I don't have a Rick is our test subject. He's on vacation. He's flying around the country, I think.
You want to sign in?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna get my son with him.
Thank you.
There it is for me.
Yeah, there you go. And here's one company. One charity.
All right. So I guess we can call the meeting to order. And everybody got a proof of notice that's been posted in the elevators. And we do have a quorum of officers tonight. We're down to 4 officers. And Scott is in the hospital. Looking for surgery, so he's not gonna be here tonight, so. What you see is what you get.
I just wanted to comment that I've never seen a proof of notice until yesterday, and I talked to many other people that are, they didn't see the notice going up until yesterday.
I think something happened in the south
And
elevator.
I didn't get an email until yesterday either, and I read that on the website, so yesterday either.
Yeah, the official notice is what goes up in the elevators. The other notice is just additional that I sent out. But I don't know what happened in the south elevator.
I didn't put that on the paper.
No, I got everything I need.
Okay. So, I guess we can start with the minutes of the previous 2 meetings. I know you sent them out.
Or that's in the packet that's been given out to the
Okay,
next page.
so has everybody gotten a chance to look through those or? All right, so do we want to approve the minutes as written? You have a motion?
Just one line. First one. Second. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as written. John seconds. Done deal. I did, and John seconded. And I would like to read our.
Two thousand.
What do we, separately?
Yeah,
Okay, all right,
so
so I would like to make a motion for the second set. I thought I was doing them both, so I don't know which one I actually did.
I'm with you, so, yeah.
okay.
And John second, so. Thank you, Wayne. When Rick was president, which you remember seeing him, Marilyn, he wrote a vision statement for us, and it's really pretty awesome. It says, our vision is to cultivate an environment where every homeowner feels a sense of pride in their residence, fostering a neighborhood where people know each other, support one another, and participate in community. to provide management and directors that ensure our residents have questions and concerns acted upon in a timely manner, and managing upkeep and safety issues that increase property values, with every member working together for the good of the entire community. So, thanks, Rick. Just maybe you saw Mike out there. Our insurance agent, Mike Moore, is going to be here to so we can talk about our liability insurance and the property insurance, which they call accident. I find that kind of confusing, but it's property without wind.
Hi, guys, let me say something because I'm supposed to be the about insurance today. And I don't look at the process, and I know with the beginning, there's a lot of confusion because Rick is the one that sort of got that ball rolling. And through the whole process, got a lot of chaos, but a couple things I thought that the process was that we're picking an insurance agent. And then that insurance agent goes out and works with us to find out policy for us. And somehow the whole thing has gotten lost. And we were trying to understand it was a time, punch on the wind, but for the other policies, and I think first it should go to how the procedure is supposed to be if we pick someone to be our agent, and then that agent works with us. They have to get one policy of each thing. There should be hundreds of each liability, not just this is going to get it, period. And it should be options. And then you can sit down with them and they go through the exclusions with the insurance committee and a board member, however you want to do it that way. So I'm sort of lost to why. I didn't even know the landlord was going to be here, and then I formed it, and it's been a lot of like preventing, and I honestly think it's like a time to look at using a different agent, just because there's like more, there's been a thing, a liability policy that was, Kindle was a big problem. The information on the inclusions that we discussed for the last 3 years with the board members, knowing what the exclusions were in that policy and how much in danger we were. Not having copies of any of our insurance policies on the company. We never gave copies of the policies in the last 3 years. The appraisal is like a question mark. You look at the appraisal, I first was like, oh, same how we're trying to the appraisal. I was like, why do you do that? The appraisal went way up. We're getting all this money for all those years. When we could get a lower appraisal and save money on the big money that we had paid for a couple years ago. Then I think you start looking at your appraisal, and I don't think I even get a chance to look at it. The $13 million all came from the line item of inside. So the inside work to rebuild went from being $14 million to rebuild the inside of buildings to $1 million. And talking to the other insurance agents, which they said it's around paying, there's no way you could have rebuilt with that appraisal amount. So if there's just a lot of look at it, like each thing is sort of questionable, we can kind of look at what it is and go through the way that it was supposed to be set up to go with the insurance committee.
Well, I mean, we can all have a turn, but what my understanding was, well, we initially tried to get 3 different insurance representatives, and the man who was here from Brown and Brown said that there was nothing that he could do until we signed that he was going to be our agent of record.
Right, because that's the way it works. You pick out the agent, and then that agent gets the policies. One of the companies that he went to, Nobody has to go to those companies and get quotes for us. Because you first have to pay for the insurance agent and then the insurance agent gets, and you know, where kind of requirements where you can get multiple bids from the same company or whatever. And you can pick the insurance agent and then the insurance agent is then go to the different companies and get the bids. That's what I'm talking about. I can't get you all of the real bids until I'm your broker. You have to pick the broker first. So you guys actually could be a broker, Ron Brown could be a broker.
USI, nobody ever heard from them.
Well, they're sick and they're getting other things. So USI will not do like personal acts. The rent company, there's a water company in Florida, and they won't park it out. So once you did the rain, they were like, well, we'll have to wait till next year because we have to get all the policies through us. We have to be your broker. Because that's really the way it works. You have a broker and then that broker gives all the policies. Ron Brown is literally to not do the wind for this because he was like, yeah, that wind. You could go for the wind. I can't get that right. You're like, but you're never going to hit it. If anything happens, you're never getting there. But when you put the paper, yeah, if you want to go low price, yeah, of course, go with that. But you're never going to get any money back. That's what he was saying. Make sure that it's not related to the bid because understanding of the company, so on and so forth.
But there are no,
I mean, there
are no admitted.
I'm not from disagreement on that, but if I was to be admitted, it's also you go into the a computer and you say you're either going to go to Microsoft or you're going to Joe Box on the corner. Microsoft has billions of dollars for that thing, Joe Box has like 80 million. That's the difference with the company and bigger company. So there's still other way to want that are in the backline, but you're going to pay more. So it's like, yeah, we want to cheap one, you're wanting some cheap appraisal, and you told you wasn't going to come to this building. I can't beat that because it's, you know, it's just a piece of paper. And there's no policy. Yeah.
And he said,
that,
well, that being the case, then one of the only things that I requested at the last meeting, when we took the win and we said about the other insurances, come back and tell us about admitted companies and come back to us in 2 weeks with a proposal for the liability and property, because that gives us an additional 2 weeks to review it and make a decision by the end of last month. And we would have bought that insurance from them.
3 days given to me, 3 days later, we found a thing.
No. He told us to sign the win. He told us to take that wind coverage. And at that last meeting, I said, will you come back to us in 2 weeks with a bid for the property and liability coverage? And he said, yes. And 2 weeks went by and nothing happened. And in the process of doing that, I said, when we get that in 2 weeks, we'll be able to compare that policy to his policy and any other policy that was here. And that never came. It just
said, yes, I can get you a quote from other companies. You can't get the quotes. And even my partner tell you, you can't get quotes from any company you talk to. It's not allowed. You can't do it. So they get it all right. So then he came over and he said, listen, I'm going to get the paper and I can get you a quote and make you $10 an hour.
I kind of wish Bobby was here right now because he's part of your committee, but I would liken that to telling you he wants to build out his patio. And he's going to have a plan and everything. And imagine there were 3 contractors that said, I want to be your contractor, but you have to sign with me before I can give you a price of what it's going to cost to do the build out.
That's the way it is.
What I do know is that there was a broker of record letter that was sent to the office for the board specific to Wilshire, who I'm proposing. He specifically named that company.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Who is it?
Brown. That's the company that they wanted. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Mike, how does the broker of record work? Like if I went to you as Michael Wilshire and I signed and let you go out and get the prices, can I at any time that I want to stop this, now I want this guy as my broker of record and now I want his prices? Is there any repercussions for getting the prices from you as
The prices are basically the same, that's what it is, like, a carrier doesn't have. A relationship with IOA, we're the largest privately held producing insurance agency in Florida. You'd think we'd have all of this pull and these discounts and other things to create a different price point, it's not true.
It's not like Holly saying, well, they can't, Brown can't give us a price. And we sign them out.
Exactly.
Okay, is there any repercussions from signing with you, you give us prices? And then we go, okay, we're done with you, we got our prices. Can we sign with Brown and Brown? And then they give us prices, and then we can drop them and
It
then.
doesn't really work that way, to be honest.
Well, how can you get? How can you get prices from different companies or representatives without signing a board?
Well, all I can say is that the particular company that was wanted by Brown and Brown for the X-Wing was Wilshire.
That's not answering.
But the reason why is because this is the best rate, the best program for your X-Wing. And otherwise, he wouldn't want it. He'd say, oh, okay,
I understand about the road, but I'm just saying,
no, this is the non-win.
okay, not really, but. Is there any repercussions from signing with you as our broker of record before? So now,
It kind of,
now can I just cancel you as my broker of record? And then go to Brown and Brown and say, now you're my broker of record. And I get prices from them and then compare the two. Are there any repercussions from canceling you as the broker of record?
I don't see that happening, to be honest with you. I just don't,
I mean, are there any
I
repercussions?
don't know of any.
So that's the only way to get prices all around.
Yeah.
So all it is a signature to you, you give us prices, we spend time again, you're canceled, you go to Brown and Brown, we sign, your
Then the
broker,
writer goes,
we get it all your share.
What ultimately is gonna happen in that case, next year when it's time to renew, anybody you do that to is not gonna work with you anymore. If I sign with you, and then I say, okay, thanks for the bids. And you find out, she comes back with the same company, we just happen to say, okay, we'll take it, you'll never give us a chance again, we're gonna be stuck with it.
You're getting paid for this, and it's going, no, we don't want you back, and we don't want your money. It's here to take you back, it's money.
you really pick. Yeah,
Brokers I'm doing for you, and it's time to look at a different broker. You have to look at what broker's done. And if you want to take a pay at a different broker for better pricing, for information, for not just the exclusions, like I handle, you know, the whole thing.
there's a reason why. I handle more condominium associations here on the beach than anybody else. It's not because I'm a smooth talker, I'm not. It's because I do the best and I consistently earn renewal. This is the truth. If you go across the street, I handle it, just goes down the line. I provided a very comprehensive list to the board of the most, sought after condominium association in this area. This is a beautiful association. And I laid out those that have been with me, not just for 1 year, because they tried me. I'm talking 15 years that have had multiple boards, multiple changes, multiple issues, multiple claims. And those from Island Crown to a leaky form, I can go down the line, Bella Vista. They stay with me because this is what I do. And people can have a different impression of what they think I should do, shouldn't have done. But this, what you have in front of you is another good option to keep your costs contained. And that appraisal was put together by a gentleman who has more experience than any other insurance appraisal firm you'll ever have come across your desk. And when I saw his work, I started to inquire a little bit, and I found out about him. And I found out that he did basically all the work down in Southwest Florida for when Ian and Nicole came. And guess what? 0 issues. credibility.
Rebuild this for what the appraisal amount is?
I think that you and I don't know that. You and I depend on somebody to put together a number that makes sense to him and his license and his credibility that you and I don't have a clue about.
Well, you have the experience with working with, values of building, you don't. And appraisal will be able to be rebuilt for it, is that what you're saying?
Well, here's what I'm gonna tell you, is that we've never had a total loss. And if there's a total loss in this area, all bets are off, guys. I don't care what you say, you're gonna get your policy on, who knows if you'll ever be able to rebuild if what we're talking about actually comes to pass. That's extremely unlikely. I've been through many claims, Ian and Matthew, and Irma, all of them. Never had a problem with an appraisal. It's getting it done and a number, and this number is setting you up right. We can sit here all day and go, no, it should be 30 million. No, it should be 28 million. Nah, maybe it should be 24.
Well,
Why don't you listen to the company that does these day after day? This is all they do, having done thousands of them, having gone through claims, serious claims.
Which community appraiser that was doing it for the last 10 years prior to that?
No, I don't think they were that high from file. I don't think they were that high. They started to get, like when you look at it.
What about the last 4 appraisals prior to this appraisal? And that last one was 10 million. And it was 1 million. And it was a long time ago that it's still a 10 million to rebuild the inside. Now you're saying we can rebuild the inside for 1 million.
When you the inside, what do you mean the inside?
Well,
You're looking at
the
the insurance appraisal. The insurance appraisal is it's the bones of the building. That's all it is. I don't mean to make it that way. It's the bones of the building. It's not the flooring. It's not the inside of the. Everybody who's done anything to their unit inside it is an improvement on the owner, not the association. You're basically insuring the skeleton. That's it, up to and including the drywall.
So for how long years we've been overpaying that?
Opinion. It's an opinion. Insurance appraisals are an opinion of value. In their truest sense, that's what it is.
Well, we need to make sure we can rebuild.
What I was saying there was nothing against you, I was just trying to get a handle on waterworks.
Yeah.
And I know
Pick your broker.
and a lot of them are from Pennsylvania as a homeowner, I can go to anybody I want, what's your price, what's your price?
Yeah. Yeah, gotcha.
19 million. Buildings are level to the floor, and then that's 19 million. Your inside of your place, your inside, yours, mine, that's covered by your own personal.
Yeah, but if you look at the appraisal, I have appraisals, you wanna look at it, if you look at the appraisal, they're not talking about like the covers and all that stuff. They're talking about the wall, the part that you're responsible for, the plumbing, the walls, all that sort of stuff. It went from our 4 appraisals, the goal was 10 million to rebuild it, it went from that to all the way down to 1 million, they're saying to rebuild all 3 of these buildings. So we all have plumbing back in, all those interior walls, everything. So that's what really needs to be looked at.
Not at all. It's all the interior. The only interior walls that would be covered in that million, I believe, are in the common areas,
Yeah.
and that's this room. Every other.
Responsible for the drywall out. You're responsible for the drywall in. The drywall in that you have to rebuild.
That's what you're
Plumbing, electricity, all that stuff.
That's what you're talking about. That's your interior.
No, we're responsible for the drywall in our apartment.
So the cupboards, the furniture, the.
We're responsible for that. You're responsible for the drywall in, which is all the plumbing, the electrical, the wood, everything else, you're responsible for that. So the last appraisal, it
The
was.
rest of that building is covered for 19 million.
The whole thing.
It's
You look at the appraisal.
I'm just gonna go back. I'm aware of. Garages because of windows. It was 7 million. That's the largest loss I've seen.
Well, you're saying like, don't worry about we're never gonna have the soil collapse.
Well, look, you can go back and talk about this and that and oh my gosh, forever. But at some point you have to look at what someone has put together as experience. You have $19 million.
Right, because one company that's been saying one thing and another company that's saying another.
Yeah.
So we have two different appraisals saying two completely different things, so it should be questioned. I mean, this has been a personal assault, this should be questioned, we've been using this other company for many years, and this other company was doing.
And that's why this company that you've been using is not getting a lot of renewals on their insurance appraisals anymore. They're not. Oh, I know for a fact. I know for a fact that Leaky Farm's not using it. I know for a fact Island Crown's not using it. I know for a fact Island Crown is using it. I know for.
Before that, I use this company.
I believe you found them.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But if you think that the company we're using Clover is not valid, is not good at paper.
Oh, it's an opinion. It's an opinion. That's their opinion. They have my opinion.
1 million. I'm talking about 13 million. It was like some here, some there, this is a little bit cheaper, that's a little cheaper, this a little cheaper. No, they basically took out the one line item, 15 million.
Oh.
I don't need to look at your appraisal, and you could have been looking at our previous appraisal, I can give you all copies of it.
Let me answer your question, Holly. If we can't get quotes and appraisals and things, where did you get them?
These are your appraisals. From this company, what do you mean? These are the appraisals for your company that we've been using for the last, I don't know, 10 years. So even 10 years ago, they had evaluated 10 million, and now it's 1 million.
Yeah, you have a different company, yes.
Yeah.
That particular company that you have is not being used for insurance appraisal renewals. I can assure you of that. They just take a number and they just go up and up and up. They probably didn't even come out to, look at the building. They probably just took their numbers, inputted it, charged you $1,000 and said, okay, here's what the numbers are today. Thank you.
But there's two ways to look at it, like I said, when I first heard, oh, we're saving all this money because our value of our building's gone down 13 million. Why didn't we do this years ago? Why did we have a broker telling us to do this years ago? Then I started looking at the appraisal and was shocked when I seen that all 13 million came out of one line item. So if there is a total devastation, which is what we're insured for, it's pretty impossible. So we are covered. We're going to have a big problem trying to rebuild. And they keep told you at a meeting.
That's a very disingenuous way to put it, to be completely honest with you. It's not like the policy says, your insurance policy says, we're only going to pay $1 million. No, it's a $19 million policy. Any part of the building that is affected to which your association is required to fix, repair, replace, which we've outlined, the $19 million is there for that. It's not structured to be $1 million here, 18 there, period.
The aggregate, 19 million.
At an impasse, it seems like we're just arguing and fluctuating, and I personally, as the homeowner, would like to stick to the agenda and listen to Mike's presentation and go forward, and if anyone else can meet with the board separately to rediscuss. But I can stay here all night to look at everything that is impact.
Thank you. Thank you.
I understand that concern too, and maybe that it doesn't bring it direct outside of what the residents are.
Well, the whole hospital is a concern, because the hospital will put together in one way, and then it's not in a way that it's supposed to happen, even Ken is saying, this is the way it has to happen in order to get it.
We,
To be with following other people on the insurance.
one,
To meet with you all to rediscuss it.
it is, and we have listened to it about 3 meetings in a row, so I agree with you, we're just gonna move on. And on our agenda,
Do we have questions for Mike?
yes,
Anybody, any questions for Mike?
Was he going to do a presentation?
on, to talk about exclusion,
We wanted to talk about like cool present. So he's going to answer questions on the presentation.
Well, with respect to the property insurance, we answered that part of it. So there's going to be a net savings of about $12,000 between the property and general liability. The general liability is more expensive than it was previous because there are included items that were not included prior. One of the issues that high-rise condominium associations have had these past couple of years or more, just the collapse, is that insurance companies, underwriters have been very skittish to underwrite for general liability due to concerns related to the structural integrity of the building. So the market of general liability carriers essentially left the marketplace for high-rise non-sprinkler. That's what it is. And what happened recently, or last say 8 months or so, you got back a passing of the phase 1 milestone, and that's a good thing. So the passing of the phase 1 milestone shows that your buildings are in excellent structural set. So there's no concerns, and that's what the underwriters needed to see, was a passing of the phase 1. There were some, minor things that they looked at, and Mark was able to get back to me and show me the work that, various contractors did to give comfort. So the general liability policy is your slip, trip, and fall type of insurance. So if anybody slips and trips or falls, that's 98% of all claims against an association. And it's pretty hard, it's very difficult to prevent every conceivable way in which somebody could fall. It could be really anything. There's not a lot of assault and battery, but this is something that will include it in the event that you're brought into somebody assault. They try to bring in the association. In the unlikely event, I've never seen it, but you never know.
So if somebody's in the parking lot out front, yes, having dinner, they go out to their car, it's dark, somebody jumps out from behind the car and mugs them, steals their car, or just steals their purse or wallet, they're gonna come back to us because it's our property.
Exactly.
That's where we're talking about.
Firearms as well. I think you could take that same example and use it as well. Those are the big ones, if you will. And not having any type of water damage related things where like your sprinkler does put water in a certain area and it causes a slipping that nobody sees until somebody slips on it. That is what is also covered. So liability is something that is here every day. It doesn't matter if you're the public, or you're a Bellair, or wherever you are. This is a policy to defend the association, and if there is somebody that's seriously hurt, it's going to respond to it. And these types of claims, as you can imagine, go on for a long time, but there are usually big numbers involved with them.
If I'm reading this right, our assault and battery, and like for instance in the parking lot, it is covered, but if a firearm is used, is that excluded?
No, that's included. But
It wasn't before, right?
wasn't before. It is now.
It's included now?
Yes.
It's listed. down
Well,
here?
no, that's a typical exclusion, but it's right here. Firearms, weapons, 250.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you,
Yeah.
thank you.
The big thing is that we don't hire security that's on. We are not. So we would never,
Yeah. Yeah, the other thing that's part of the general liability policy, like this being. An improvement, if you will, is that has medical expense of 5,000. It doesn't sound like a big deal, but it really is. That if somebody does get hurt, what the insurance company wants to do fairly quickly is to settle the claim, and they'll sometimes they'll give them $5,000 in an effort to, depending on the situation, in an effort for the claim to be done with. So it really doesn't hurt your record. And also included is all condominium unit owners, you don't know, I don't know what could happen. But for instance, going back to the example, you're at the pool and somebody is a guest and somehow they're gonna challenge you in some way, or they claim that you did something, and it's on the association of property, but they name you. As part of the general liability policy, each of the owners are considered additional insured, as well as the manager.
Only option, is there a way to get two different options for each of, like, just instead of just ask for this is your policy, was there a way to get two different options, and then we can both look at each one of them and see which one we'd like to go with?
Well, this one is what I consider to have. It includes things that are typically in insurance that we're not. So if you're looking to have a policy written and have it be written in a way that kind of mirrors what a usual or customary policy is, Westchester is the company that does the best job. So this is it right here for all intents and purposes.
So, I don't know, I'm curious. So there is a way to get another option or no? No.
No.
Okay. Who do you, you had to go out and get these policies? Who requested it?
Still from board, many boards ago.
Yeah.
You do it every year automatically?
I think that's what we would normally expect your agent to know that your renewal's coming up.
And we were in January, we were going to be utilizing the general liability policy, but there was an incident, so, and we had to get through that.
I gotta think, I do life insurance, I do long-term care insurance, so I mean, I've been doing insurance since 1952, it's part of my business. I would tell you that if Brown and Brown or anybody else, any other general agent is out there, and you know when our policies are coming due, if they wanted to bid, to be a competitive bid and say, I mean, I know that if somebody asks me about long-term care, there are a few companies that I handle. They're not always the least expensive, but I have an inexpensive company, a medium, and a high grade company. Why? Because some people can only afford it. So it's better to have some coverage than no coverage at all. And then if you have more money, you can do certain things, and it goes that way. If Brown and Brown knows what we're being insured for, which we have the policy, we have the limits, and they wanted to come back and say, you know what, I can knock $10,000 off of that if we use this company. And if they could come back and say, here, we have this coverage, we have the exact same coverages, and we say, that's a competitive game. That's just, that's the way things go. I have,
Saying, do you have work with your customer, and do you bid and stuff like that? If I was wondering, like, I had meetings with him. And we would have been nice to be able to have a committee work with him on these bids. And see what we needed, you know, over trying to change, just like we had the, you know, Kinsdale, over now, really make sure we're covered in that and stuff like that. To really work with your broker to come up with the best policy.
I understand, and I know that my clients lean on my knowledge and experience, so I would expect that we would lean on his knowledge and experience. He could certainly run a course here for us and teach us a bunch of things. I mean, I'm making little marks right now because I have a question or two about certain coverages and how they apply, because I don't know and I want to know. But the point is, one general agent versus another general agent, I would tell you, if they wanted the business, they would make a competitive bid, and it just works. Maybe he doesn't have to deal with it. There's a possibility that he doesn't have to deal with it because of the consistency of service and product and so on. But I'd be hard pressed to believe that other companies haven't tried to edge in on his business by coming back and saying, I can do this at this price. Yes, though.
Why didn't they?
Well, I asked them to, and they said they were going to do it in 2 weeks, but they didn't.
After you guys fill out the form, so they can do it.
No. I was not. I, as a board member, I would feel that I would be wrong. I would be using my fiduciary responsibility to get rid of one person and make them the agent of record, because that means whatever they bring me, that's what I got to take. Because after all, if they bring me something and I look at it and say, no, I'm going to go back to him. You don't do business that way. You just.
And then you go with it. I don't know how many more reasons for me to even plan where to find it, but I mean, I was gonna asking that question. I was asking like, he is the agent and he's giving us these things, you still want to work with it, I would think, but clearly, and the board, or whoever wants to join it, and they make sure it, and then the policy now, this is your policy ticket. Or not doing it. You want to be able to make sure we're working with it, and any adjustment, either any extra things that can go in and come out of it. Just like you do with your, I'm sure.
Okay, Paul, we understand what you're trying to get across. No, I appreciate it. Anything that anybody has to, put into the floor. But we have been on this for 45 minutes now. That's enough.
I had a question. I want to cover.
Go ahead.
On page, on wind driven rain. Okay,
Yeah.
wind driven rain. This is liability, right? Exactly. On wind driven rain, you talk about maximum payout due to liability of maximum payout of that amount. If there's injury or something.
No.
Okay, so it's
Yeah.
saying that to make this, I don't know.
Wind driven rain is when water comes in and around windows
Right,
into the building. It
right.
doesn't actually force a window to break or become, create an opening.
Okay.
It's water coming in and around.
So our interior coverage or individual coverages cover the damage to what's done inside, but you're saying we have an opportunity to claim against this policy if it's wind driven rain.
Yeah, it is gonna be, again, limited to Florida criminal law, which says that the drywall, the skeleton of the building is where that applies.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Down here.
Yeah.
All right. I get you. Thank you. You're welcome. And it's a $5,000. Yeah. Okay. $1 million coverage, $5,000.
No, the deductible still applies for 5%, not 5,000. That is the one fire.
Okay, yeah,
Let's currently have right now.
okay. So fire damage internal
Yeah,
will be a $5,000 deductible, not 5% of.
Right.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. You're welcome.
Anybody else? Have questions? Or comments?
That's dollars.
Yeah, sorry.
We currently have the, well, let's go to country, Kinsey. Always drop that. It's in effect until January of 2026. And what our plan was when we were at a point to be able to drop into better coverage, then we got the roof done and technicality on some reserves, that we would then go to market and see what could be done. And obviously, better coverage and less dollars. Since we're doing this we're doing this midterm, and I think we projected a date of July 10 start if we wanted to do that. That the cost of the Wilshire would be 44,000. Westchester policy, liability would be 27,300. That carries us to July of next year. So we've already done our shopping, if you will, for the first almost 7 months of the first 6 months of 2026. So part of this will be paid with the funds currently that we're reserving each month out of operating, and then the balance of the policy will be paid out of what we collect in the operating funds in 2026. Now, since we're leaving Kinsale, we get unearned premium back, premium that hasn't been used. And on the X-Wind, that's 31,600. And on the general liability, it's 8,900. So I left my notes in the office on the math on it.
40,000.
Thanks. So that's what our end cost will be after the refunds have come back from Kinsale. That should take anywhere from 60 to almost 90 days. So that to figure it out. So those funds would come back to us and are operating and reimburse the reserve. We have historically used over the past 3 years the reserves to fund the prepayment of insurance, because you have to pay for insurance on day one, or you take advantage of their finance packages. And the finance packages are running about 7-8%. So if we get it from ourselves, we're paying 0 interest. We do sacrifice with money we earn because the reserve is in a money market account. It's probably just, I think, around 1.5% to 2%. So we've been doing that. So we would do the same thing for this. We would take the money out of reserves to pay for the policy. And then as the refunds come back, we supply reserves. Each year we've done this, we have always paid back in full reserve at the end. We take the cost of the policy that we break it down. And that's what we do in the account to reimburse the reserve. The same practice would take place here. So, does it sit within our budget? Yes, absolutely. We don't need to change anything. And we're doing insurance. Insurance is going to be less dollars. And we get the sort of this on the first 6 months of next year. So we're able to.
You mentioned 2 different coverages. One of them 44,000, one is 27,000.
General liability was 27 Westchester, and the X-Wind with the property was Wilshire at 44.
Okay. So it appears to me that the Wilshire, the general liability, is going to be less money, but there's a seem, because I'm looking at what we're getting back of 8,900. It appears that the second insurance, that's now 27,300, that's going to be the new price. That seems to be more, because of the one that we're getting a refund of 8,900 for roughly 6 months worth, If you double that, that's almost 18,000, whereas the replacement policy is 27,300. Yes, so we're looking at. Decrease. Benefits to
With the water damage inclusions, the Kinsale policy. Yeah.
Aside from the salt and battery and the white water, what additional coverages are we getting?
Well, the water's a big one. If somebody flips, trips and falls through the water, a sprinkler, anything related.
Around the pool. Does that count?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had a lot of people here this week that don't live here that are just visiting. Okay, so if kids fall and crack there.
They can lay it and then, yeah.
Even though they don't own if they're visiting, it's still a loss.
It's unlawful.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
Sorry. Um. So, I'm kind of lost about where we need to go next. I apologize.
Oh, chillers.
On the insurance, your decision is either to not make a decision, stay with Kinsale, or make a decision and adopt these two new policies from Wilshire and Westchester. That's the options.
Okay.
Actually, if you want to stick with Kinsale, there's no decision that's in place. But if you want to change, then you have the option for the Wilshire package and Westchester.
And that's with the additional, what Mike explained, the assault and all that, that sounded like something that needs to be covered. That's really being covered.
The Kinsale policy is not a good policy. It filled a gap for many associations, high rise, non-sprinkler. That get the inspection report, your milestone, and then you've opened yourself back up. The reason it's a cheap policy is because it doesn't contain these items that we've talked about. In the unlikely event they happen, yeah, it costs more. But between the policy and property excellence, they're going to save you 12,000.
New policies, vortex one, and
I'll put in there the name of the companies.
okay.
Okay.
Okay, so that's moved by Wayne.
I'll second. Good.
Any further discussions? Further discussions?
All in favor?
All in favor, aye.
3 plus. None against.
All right, thank you, Marilyn. Now we're on to
Chillers.
chillers.
Thank you, Matt.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I've got another handout for you guys. First one, this is the proposal by Christine Payne and Berkshire maybe. They are the I did.
So we're, if you see them from up above, they are badly in need of some maintenance.
I don't know if they do have to be like taking lots of fruits and then things and that.
They, the one that was sandblasted, they've got a product that they use to.
The one people who-
Is that one, is there more than one?
Very more than one. That's- it's-
Yeah.
You see in there, it's-
She didn't get the one like.
Each of these different bids, can you do a little discussion? Wow.
Absolutely, sure.
I would like to suggest that regardless of what bid we ultimately take, because there's probably a time of the warranty period on the product. Whether it's a year, maybe whatever it is. Take pictures of these chillers before, and then take pictures of them along the way up until the point where they put on the new first coating of something. So that if there is any corrosion, we can't cover that. I want to be able to know that when they first started doing the repair work, that it was brought down to the most basic level of rust-free metal that they can possibly get. Because I'm looking here where they're going to do scraping, wire brushing, and all this. I want to make sure that it's all gone before I would want them to chill if it's all gone.
That's a good idea.
Absolutely. One. And there's too many copies, so I showed up.
To do the pre-inspections like you're talking about, in between getting pictures and it's rated off somebody else. We have somebody. I'm getting her.
I'll give you my iPhone.
I would take pictures. I work with Alan Green a lot. Years ago, I did do a job with this team. I can't argue any difference really between the quality of the companies. We tried the apples off the products that have been used.
Is the process that both companies plan to use, is the process the same and
It's true.
the products that they're gonna
It's
use?
through a quote, the polyamide metal HP 4000, that's the same, on the top coat, that's the same. This one photo has DTM, I use that product a lot, that's a direct to metal DTM. This second product is an alpha urethane for the second coat. He's using, the other company's using Osco, and he uses an epoxy mastic primer. We use Osco in a lot of what we do. We have treated them twice with Osco and Martin Payton. And it's a good product. You've got this much rust, it's real difficult to get it under control. That's kind of a reading sometimes. I didn't realize that, so reading that section right now, but my reference point comes from the Bahamas. So, my experience comes from Bahama House. We have 3 large ventilator fans. We've got a 3-foot diameter on them with the blades and everything. We ventilated the parking garage with the car fumes in it. And we have tried several processes in-house that failed in a year, not even a year. And Alan Green was doing the balcony work. And he said he's got a process that could do that. And owners opted to accept his proposal. And my gosh, it's been almost 6 years, 7 years since I've been down in 7 years. And I went down there, about 3 months ago. I had some friends of mine stay there. I couldn't believe the condition. It was really good. And there's still some touch-up work that needed to be done and some other things. But 95% of the job is still good.
Which of these two products was that?
That's what, Alan proposes, the exact same three.
What's the warranty on this?
That's a real tough question. I did spend some time with Alan. He said, one, I only know what I've done, and I've used it several times, and, on each one, I only got over 5 years. He said, but each situation can be different. I mean, the water section of our children are in really bad shape. And he thinks that we should get the same kind of life out of it, but he says he can't swear by it. But he really thinks he can do a good job on it. But that's the only thing that he's worried about is those bottom rails, because the amount of rust on it.
We have an idea what the replacement cost of the rail would be.
That's a good question. We can find out. I mean, all three of them are trains. They're still in production. We'll find out. Very well.
Seriously. Let's find out what the cost of that would be. Is that, if that's the part that has the worst problem? And that's the support for us, correct?
Yeah, they're horizontal. So
That's the support. Let's, a little bit what the cost of that would be. If they're in bad shape, at least telling you they're severely bad shape, sometimes it might be better to replace them.
Yeah.
And you still have to do the rest of the children, you still have to do the rest of it, but why just, why put it on a
we
week?
could, if we did replace the rails, horizontal pieces, we yes, personally.
Oh, yeah.
Alan's price is a maximum not to exceed. He says if they come across savings just like what we're doing before that, he said there was a maximum on the project of 3,200. He said if everything goes right, 2,800. He's found that it's gone way ahead of schedule. He thought we would have 2 days of demo, one. So it's not going to be $3,200. It's going to be down to 2 days. It looked really bad, but it wasn't.
Well, there's a possibility that with the reduction of cost of the product, plus the addition of new rails, I don't know what rails cost, but you can still may come out less than what this other one is, charging just to do the job
Yeah.
itself.
Yeah.
And then you have the security of the children to, let's say, intact for
Mhm.
a period of time.
Mhm.
Yeah, correct. Can you
Plus
get-
the other, pristine painting, they use the OSPO product, which Mark said
Mhm.
Not the best.
is not the
Yes. I didn't look at it closely because of the price number when we first saw it, but, if he did do the work. That's the price. He would do the work. If he doesn't get the.
Could be, if you could get us a price. It's the, I mean, it's the integrated part, so it's going to be a matter of part, it's related. You give us 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, I'm sure, the company would be, it's great to speak to these brands and. I will call them and we'll put together a price. Yeah, I'm sure we can do it. I'll call them tomorrow. They're pretty good. They're a big company. Greens was a local, family owned. They did great work. The pricing was really good. But brand is a big, they do new construction. Condos on those, big chili rooms. And they're based out of Orlando.
I had one little concern on Christine, they have her wrong address. I'm a little concerned if they show up somewhere else and do our work.
You know, it's funny you say that. I had a call from one of the internet search engine optimization companies. And he said, and you're at 2595 North Atlantic, and I said, no. So.
They may have another client. If that.
You know, they might. I mean, that's way south, that's another 5 deep blocks south,
Yeah, just.
when you, three blocks south. So that was kind of neat. Thank you for pointing that out.
One good thing about, Christine Company, they indicate that they would choose a paint color that gray that match.
Yeah.
Is that something?
Yeah, it's a standard grade for those type of AC units.
Actually, 25 to 95 North Atlantic Avenue. Is public. If I'm looking at the picture, yeah, a lot more than you do.
All right, so, we're just gonna, wait till we find out what we're talking about.
Well, we'll table this and then we'll do the research and come back next month.
All right,
If we don't come to an amendment.
okay, I'm gonna suggest that we table the, discussion / proposal on the laser study, unless you get something.
Really, I talked to him today, he was working for me before back on Monday. He just got tied up. I talked to him, this afternoon, and he was traveling from campus to Orlando. And we talked about it, and said, well, I want to talk about the board meeting, but what can I say at the board meeting? He said, it looks to me to be 12 hours of work and $65 an hour, $780. And comes, we have to look at it. If you got the proposal to pay that extra $100 then, so he said basically $300 without. He does say he could be possibly really high on the hours. He said, it could turn out to be 6 hours. And he said, if that was the case, then that would not, those additional hours would not be charged. And,
What would a laser study provide for us?
what Alan Green did to determine what we have on these walkways is a process that he used, very, very simple, makes a lot of sense. He's got a 5-foot post, and on he's got some really heavy duty chains like they use for cars, and then a ball at the end of it. And it's amazing as you run this across our walkways, everything has a nice solid pitch to it, but as soon as you hit a hollow spot, you hear it. That it's just like walking across your tile, the pitch, the sound is different. This process of the chain and the ball is complicated. So he identified 95 places where there seemed to be hollow spots. So
Like a dip,
actually, no, it's something you don't see any difference to the naked eye. The laser study will show that, and they run the machine over it where they're able to see what the depth of that particular infraction is.
That single before the top crust goes in.
Yeah.
How long are they?
it's like the sidewalk has a dip in it, that the area underneath, maybe the rain water got under there or just like area, right?
Yeah, it can be visually that you see it, but a lot of these, I'd say over half of what he did, there's no visual sign on it.
Was it for our structural, study that found this minor thing that could,
What was,
watering trees down with sidewalk, or that?
they did not do either one of these type of studies on the walkways. The structure integrity study was was basic visual unless they needed to do anything. So, we walked the walkways and we showed them the areas that, that definitely popped up. And those are as non-structural, they were cosmetic. And we don't see any of these repairs on the walkways as being structural. If we have concrete on how we have something obviously structural, we do not have that. So these, they were noted on the structural integrity, the milestone structural integrity, they were noted, but they were noted as not being structural. It's, the first thoughts that I had in first one of the building years ago was that yes, we've got issues on the walkways. That are minor things, and they've got a little bit of since then. But I do not see them as any big issues that they could do. Knocked out, you could probably do groupings of 10 at a time or something. I mean, there were more important issues, the stairwells were the big thing. So that was the first priority. But there hasn't been a lot of changes in the walkways. But this would be an ideal time to do what we could afford to do. It doesn't mean we have to do the whole thing. We're just at the phase to determine really how big it is. Alan Craig's it has 95 issues that take care of, and 75% of them are not visible. And so all we were studying here at the moment was the second company I got in here to try and quote the work. ABK, they're a big contractor. They do a lot of new construction and new repair stuff. He said, Mark, the best way to do this is to have a laser study done. I work with this particular company, and they do good work. So that's the people that I talked to, and I've gotten this $800 quote. It could be possibly half that if it's less than that. I gave him the numbers that Alan saw with the 95, and when he came and surveyed the length to determine how long it take to do it, and then factoring in what time you have to spend on it as it was down. He based it on that, some 95 issues that could be recognized. But he doesn't think it's that bad when he took his visual. But the person put in when you get out a piece of $25,000 laser detector thing.
I'm completely lost. I understand the way you're studying on the 95 optics.
Yes.
Okay. Do we have any idea based on the time of the 95 of these? They could be with 12 inches, but inches, they could reach 3 feet long. Give you an idea what the overall cost would be if these things would be repaired.
He was speculating something around $90,000 to do everything. And we were, I said, Aaron, we're not really looking at everything. I said, my reference point at the moment is doing reservation. And he said, well, it's a good time to do it all, but that's contracting something.
Is there an opportunity to have this study done? And then the things that we see that are visual, addressing those first, could be breaking down to, category 1, 2, and 3.
Exactly.
Priority.
I use the terms A, B, and C.
Okay.
And exactly.
To give us an idea of what they would be, because then we would at least know going forward. We might not have to do anything for 2 or 3 years, but once it starts to become more relevant, we'll have to address these particular larger issues before the others.
He sketched out what he kind of saw, and some things are smaller, some items are larger when how much is doing it. The line cracks, the expansion cracks, where the rebar popped up. That you don't have to go too far back and it's pretty much you're taking out that section, maybe 6 inches wide, and you're doing work. On some of the, areas where we, detected these hollow areas, some of them were about 2 by 2, 2 feet by 2 feet. There are a couple of areas that are almost 6 feet by 4 feet. The tested as being hollow with no visual signs. So, but most of it was 2 by 2s, and the cracks that we see, the bulging that we see would be 3 inches on either side of it. Taking out 6 inches of concrete and taking out the rebar that's there, it's not doing it. Because it's rusted.
Even if we didn't, the things that are common instead of sticking out. It's gotta be addressed.
Yes, absolutely.
I think I was up at somebody's place and it was pouring, cracked on the whole way through the wall.
To the edge, yeah.
Uh,
There's several of those.
Right.
Let me say one more thing about this, and let you guys discuss and ask questions. If we did the study, it's our study. We would give it to KDK to use for this estimate. But we can give it to Ellen Gray and say, hey, this is what, this, we did a laser study of it, this is what we're seeing. Does this, you even put some fine points on the proposal you've done, but this is something that we pay, and it's ours, and we can choose who we want to look at it to determine costs. But my point always from the beginning, just getting into this, was my concern was what's visual, and what's a trip hazard, and do the visual stuff there.
So it'd be like a reference point for us for what's coming up in the future.
And these hollow spots could turn into that a year or 2 or 5.
Visual safety. Look out in my way.
Yeah.
They have a reference. I say the laser, like the laser thing. In the future.
I'm just thinking, if we do the visuals now, or if we do the later study, and we do the visuals in 2 or 3 years, somebody's gonna wanna do laser study.
If I wish I had a proposal, in my income, just wasn't working out because you can see it. So the market didn't do it. I mean, we need to get it together for you. I mean, next meeting, I'll have a full written proposal on the specs on what his machine is and what it's able to do with that. But I did get this out of it. So I would present the numbers to you. And you guys can do, I would definitely would be able to get it out. Written estimate.
Although it's not a problem, the issue about the hollow bases and stuff like that. I can attest that it's true because Bobby wanted me to put a gutter along the side of the patio because it runs off onto his patio. And we had the guy come out and they were going to put a gutter and determined that they couldn't put a gutter because a lot of the cement that's on the floor along the edges of the building is blown in, literally. I mean, that's how he explained it to me, that it was blown in. It's not like it's a solid slab that they put down. The slab is just so big, but then around the outside, the walkways and the edges, it's literally blown in with a machine. And he said that they couldn't put a drain gutter on there because he was afraid that it would crush or that the cement would collapse in certain areas. Didn't make me feel any safer about having a building where the cement can crush under my, I gotta watch my weight, but yeah, I get it. So there are probably areas like the walkway, so
when we were into discussing gutters and how to attach them, um. And I wanted to see them attached to the concrete, and, it was explained to us that as much as you think that sounds good, that could be creating problems down the road by, you put a tap con into an 8-inch piece of slab that near the top of it, that you may be doing damage.
Chrome.
So that was the reason for the vertical mounting of the 2x4s and the building striping. So, I saw they were using the exact same argument for what we're talking about those gutters. We really don't have a point to attach them because we could be doing damage to. Yeah, and stuff will start cracking them. We've got water all over.
That makes sense. I mean, if it's some visual and some is underneath and you can't tell. And
Next door bird.
say the bird. No, in it. But it's obviously an old school
Yeah,
method and
We have to make, you know,
we need it to be safe.
we study this and we need to appropriate the amount of visual stuff that we got an estimate of what it's gonna cost. To do all the visual things that we're talking about that are already out
we
there.
were just talking general. Yes, there's basically 25% of the general was for the visual stuff. 20%, so 20% of 90,000.
We do that in the same point.
Yeah. Mm.
What's currently visual, that people see it walking.
I mean, I'm gonna get a written proposal from them. I
Okay.
mean, if you want to,
Is that part of, okay, we have that in reserve for that sort of.
it could come out of reserve. I mean, it's not a lot. It's sort of operating.
Well, I mean, the visual stuff that might be.
That. Yeah, that'd be reserved. That's just like we have done with the steps.
Okay. We've collected enough or have enough from our monthly collections to do that without having to assess.
Yeah, we put an adjustment in. We may have to readjust that number next year. I'll take a closer look at it. If we're short in what we want to maintain reserves, we may have to up what we're collecting slash pulling out of operating the fund reserves.
Right, the reserves are under. That's exactly.
Based on the reserves, the last reserve study we did, which was last year.
I knew it was gonna be, go ahead and have the rate, but,
Anybody else have any comments they'd like to make? Good?
We made a motion, Wayne.
Yes. Second.
Sounds good. Okay.
Okay. So you'll have that.
Yeah, I'll get that to you in writing.
We're also gonna get a proposal. For the, do we have like a nothing to do with the, okay, the label might be all the way around. 19 different visual things that.
That was my count. Yeah, I can formalize it. Yeah, I'll get it more in writing.
And then.
And what I showed you was the sketch that he did of the walkway.
Sure, give us a proposal as to what we do to repair that. And then discuss whether we want to. We have to proceed with some of them, we provide some that are actually.
Yeah, we don't want to put it off.
Okay.
All right. Um. We're starting to run on.
So, I think, with the hurricane stuff, instead of doing it at a meeting. Because the meetings were, they had that on top of it. So, I think we should just have a special hurricane, like, besides this one meeting. And I can just, people want to show up.
There's a lot of things.
Hurricane kids.
Yeah, or like, I have like different ways for lighting. Refrigeration, communication.
Yeah.
We're gonna do it tonight. But, the way the meetings go, and everybody's present. And everybody's talking. But I think if we have a board event, like elect leaders,
Yeah,
especially like. Yeah, it's in the special age. No,
well.
who are you calling over? Who are you looking at? Oh, how many times was that?
John and I were talking this afternoon, he was bringing this up to me. And quickly, we found out that we're very much of like minds on things for backing up and alternate means to do things when there is no power. And I'm talking about how we got the garage door done, so we have to do the garage door. And so I got my generator and I just undid the wires and break the panel, hooked up my generator and voila, we had garage doors. And he said, yeah, I've backflowed a few issues like that, so we're in spirit.
So do we want to set a date for that or?
Yeah, we're leaving like Friday, for Pennsylvania. I'll have to get back to you, I'll just let Mark know.
Okay. And then we'll get some information out there
Sure,
for everybody.
I told her, whatever you want copied, that we can pass out there, the office will do that for you.
Okay, so we'll have,
Yeah,
The solar generators, Brian's used to this one.
okay, let's see. Do we want, go ahead. Okay, yeah, let's do that.
The first bullet under old business, we didn't talk about that, where people are making an announcement about who was selected to appoint.
No, we have not selected anyone yet, so that was going to be a discussion. And
So that's table, I was out getting. For the next meeting.
thank you. Yeah. I said word.
no. So if you don't have secretary. you don't.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Why was that?
We got it.
Yeah.
Scared and not people. I'm going to keep it for.
Well, you can have this one, and I'm gonna have to print off the second one, I'll print off the second.
I didn't want it. I'm still insurance. I was talking about with my own clients, but the point is, when I have self-governing, if I'm gonna manage the money for a particular, like a ballet in Orlando, I go in against a broker from, if somebody coming in without, any other company. It's almost competitive. You know what they want. We tell them what we want. And then they come back and tell us what they can give us the most of everything we want. X amount of energy. Like I said, Bobby's gonna build that place. He's not gonna just look at 3 different contractors and say, okay, I'll pick you. You don't know what the guy's gonna charge. that's what your expenses are gonna be, it's competitive good nature. It's confused over. That's the first thing you're flying or stuff.
Excuse me. Do you have the keys to the right?
And Mike came to us with a particular price. I don't know whether it's that other guys in South Florida couldn't do it because someone, they might have came in with a better price.
But they did.
But they didn't, so we're stuck with the ones we have. What absolutely blew me away to decide, I don't even care about a earphone about again. That guy's been right there, and I asked him, can you get us a bid in 2 weeks? So that 4 weeks from now, we can determine whether we can use that one. And he said, yeah, I can do that.
I heard the conversation. But do they have to be, let's just use the word, do they, so you're allowed to go out and get bids from anybody? The way I'm hearing it, you're not allowed to, or you're.
No, once you have somebody on board, you're not supposed to go to somebody else theoretically. When your policy's coming, I mean, you know, in the course of the year, if you wanted to add an additional, you know, we put up a gazebo out here, and now we have to have an additional engineer. Oh, okay, we put up a gazebo out here, and a bathroom, and we have to have additional coverage. We go to our guy. You're not gonna go out and bid a gazebo on a porta john to, you know, extend this property. But in the first, when everything is coming due, it's like, you know, Mike, I love you, you've been good all these years. And he may be $2,000 more than somebody else, and you might want the fact, the loyalty, you know, the professional relationship makes a difference. Is he here what you want? Sometimes, right, sometimes brokers just don't show up for a damn thing. And I'm just suggesting that
Meeting adjourned.
we have a vote here.